हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाये नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करो वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताया पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। We are seeing the 17th chapter of Gita, which begins with Arjuna's question regarding Shraddha. So Bhagwan replies that there are three types of Shraddha: Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. And a person is what his Shraddha is. All our behavior, our thoughts, our emotions, everything depends on the type of Shraddha we have. So when we make our Shraddha more and more sattvic, our behavior, our emotions, our thinking, everything undergoes transformation. So through satsang, through our sadhana, we have to make our Shraddha more and more sattvic, so that we develop that faith, that astikya bhavana in Ishvara and all the expressions of Ishvara, and worship Ishvara regularly. In order to do our sadhana properly, we should nourish our equipments, the body, the mind, the senses should be well nourished and should become strong. So for that, we have to take proper ahar. So Bhagwan described the three types of ahar, the sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. And we should strive to make our ahar more and more sattvic, which increases our life, which purifies our antakarana, which gives strength and health, good health, and that joyfulness in our heart. Such food which have good rasa, food value. Such food, when we eat, it nourishes our body, mind, senses. And with this strong, nourished body, we have to do the sadhana of yajna, dana and tapas. This threefold sadhana will purify our mind further. In yajna, we worship the devata, we worship Ishvara. Through tapas, we integrate our own personality, make it more and more tuned to that Supreme. And through dana, we share what we have with the world around us. So this threefold sadhana purifies our mind, make it free of kama, krodha, lobha. And when the mind becomes absolutely pure, we can gain abidance in the knowledge that which we have gained, that I am that Brahma. So after studying the whole Gita, we have understood that I, the Pratyekatma, the innermost self, is Brahma. But to gain abidance in this knowledge, we have to purify our antakarana. So, yajna is a very important step in purification, wherein we worship the devata, Ishvara, or the Ishvara, or any of his expression, without any expectation, following the proper procedure of the Shastra. That is the Sattvic Yajna. In Rajasic Yajna, one has got expectation and one does it with hypocrisy and pride. And Tamasic Yajna is done without following the proper procedure, without faith. So that is not proper. One should make our yajna sattvic. Now in the following verses, Bhagwan talks about tapas. Tapas is also a very important sadhana. Tapa is austerity. And it is of three kinds, three types, or at three levels you can say. At the level of our body, at the level of our speech, and at the level of our mind. So physical, vocal, mental tapas we have to perform in a sattvic way, so that will further purify our antakarana. So here Bhagwan talks about Sharirik Tapa in the next verse, verse number 14, we shall chant. Devadvijaguru pradnya pujanam shauchamarjavam brahmacharyam ahimsa cha shariram tapa uchyate. Bhagwan says, this is called shariram tapa, physical austerity. When it is said shariram tapa, not that our mind is not involved, but this tapa is predominantly done with the body. Therefore it is called sharirik tapas. Otherwise, whatever action we do, the body is involved, the mind is involved, speech is involved. But here predominantly, Bhagwan is talking about Sharirik tapas, where body is more predominantly involved. So what is it? Bhagwan says, Deva Dvija Guru Pradnya Pujanam. One is puja, pujanam. Whose puja? Puja of Devata. Dvija, Dvija means Brahmana. Guru, our teacher. Pradnya, a wise person. Puja of Deva Dvija Guru Pradnya, that is one. Then Shaucham. Shaucham is cleanliness. Cleanliness of our body. Then Arjavam. Arjavam is straightforwardness, or what you call in our behavior, in our action, to be saral, to be without any cruelty or without any falsehood, lie. Straightforward actions and behaviors is called Arjavam. Then Brahmacharya, self-control, not to indulge in too much of sense pleasures. That is Brahmacharya. And Ahimsa, non-violence. Shariram tapa uchyate. These are called sharirik tapas. See, tapas is helpful in purifying our antakarana. Just as tapa also is tapa, to heat up. Just as gold, when it is properly heated, it becomes more and more pure. Similarly, when we, through our karma, when we heat up, means when we use our energy in a positive way, it purifies our body, our mind, our senses, make them tuned to the supreme goal. Therefore, our scriptures talk about tapas highly. If anything is required, if we want to achieve anything in this world and the other world, we can attain it with tapas. In the Ramayana, we have the story of Parvati ji doing tapas to attain Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva had taken the vow of not getting married, but Parvati is a little girl. She, having faith in her teacher Narad ji, she went to the forest to do tapas. Means focusing her attention on Lord Shiva completely, withdrawing her attention from our body, her mind, her senses, directing every inch, every little bit of her energy towards Ishvara, towards Lord Shiva. So much so that Bhagwan became pleased with her tapas and got married to her. So tapas is very important sadhana. We have to tune our body, mind, senses towards our goal. See, even in various fields, even in the field of sports, we see them, sports person working so hard to develop their body to make it fit for their particular field of sports. If they are in running or in wrestling or badminton or football, cricket, whatever be the field, they have to make their body fit for that. So they work day and night. So that is the tapas. Similarly, on the spiritual path, we should do that tapas starting from our body, then to our senses and mind, tune them towards our goal. So how to make the body tuned to that Supreme? By involving the body in puja, in seva. With the body, we have to do seva. Seva, whose puja? Deva, of the Devata, of Ishvara. When we do the puja, we invoke Bhagwan in a particular form, a particular murti. Then do the Purvanga puja, the main puja, the Uttaranga puja. So our whole body is working towards serving Ishvara. We have to sit for a long time to do the puja. We have to focus our attention on the puja. We have to chant the appropriate mantra. Our mind also is involved in that. But we use our hands to do all the upachara, offering the flowers, the akshatas, Dhūp, Deep, Naivedya, everything is offered. Before that we give Abhishek to Bhagwan. Dress him up with most beautiful dresses. So all this is a sharirik tapas only, doing seva of the Devata. Not only Devata, but one should have that great reverence and worship the Dvija. Dvija is a Brahmana. See, we have seen in the 4th chapter also, based on our guna and karma, all human beings are classified into these 4 groups: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. These gunas we carry from our past, and based on that we are born in a particular varna, and based on this varna we have to perform all our actions. So there are those who are called Brahmanas. Their main job, main karma is to study the Shastras and to follow the guidance of the Shastras, to develop their own antakarana, make it more and more pure, and share this knowledge with others. So they are responsible to do the raksha of knowledge. They have to protect the knowledge, the wisdom of the Shastras should be protected and shared with others. So to protect this knowledge, a special ability of the mind, antakarana, is required. Just as if we want to protect someone physically, we require this physical strength and power. But in order to protect this wisdom, we require subtle quality of our mind, our antakarana. Then we will be able to protect. So those who have this sattva gun pradhana, born as brahmana, they do this job, and because of them the knowledge is protected and shared with everyone, which is very important. So one should have great reverence and respect towards such people and serve them in whatever way we can. So that seva, the puja of a dvija, dvija means twice born. So once we are born from our mother's womb, and thereafter when the person gets this Gayatri Diksha, Upanayanam, it's called second birth. So a dvija is called as twice born person. So worshipping and revering, respecting dvija is also a sharirik tapas. Giving them dana, respecting them, learning from them, helping them in whatever way we can. That is very important. See, in a society also, we find that the quality of the society also depends on what they revere. Just as we have seen in the beginning, that those who have faith in the Devata, they have that faith is called Sattvic. Similarly, in the society also, if a society has got faith in the higher values of life, in the Devata, in Ishvara, and work towards taking care and respecting and revering such subtle powers and forces and reality, that society is considered to be very sublime. But if a society is involved in revering and appreciating power, then that is a Rajasic society, and a society which values only wealth and prosperity, wealth, that is even lower Rajasic, and the society which values violence is at a lower level. So here Bhagavan says ki Deva Dvija puja of the Dvija is also Sharirik tapas. Then Guru. See, we interact with different people, and when we interact with wise people, good people, it's called satsang. But when we develop a special affection and faith in a particular person, and consider that person as our guide, as our guru, then from that person we can learn and progress on our path. So, our Guru, the Guru Bhavana. Just as here we find that Arjuna had great reverence and respect for Bhagavan Sri Krishna, whom he considered his friend. But we saw in the second chapter, Arjuna surrenders to Bhagavan Krishna and says that please accept me as your Shishya. And thereafter, the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna became of Guru and Shishya. We find that even Shiva and Parvati, though they are husband and wife, many times Parvati ji approaches Lord Shiva and asks him some question with a Guru Bhavana, considering Shiva as her Guru. She approaches him and with deep respect she asks questions, and Shiva as a Guru teaches her. The entire Ramayana is a dialogue between Shiva and Parvati. So the Guru Puja is very important because through that we express our gratitude, we express our love, and through the seva of the Guru, we get tuned to the teachings of the Guru. Even when Bhagavan takes avatar as Ram, as Krishna, in order to show us the path of dharma, he goes to the Gurukul and stays there. Though Bhagavan doesn't want to gain any knowledge because he is already Sarvajna, Sarvashaktiman. But as an avatar to teach us the path of dharma, Bhagavan goes and stays in the Gurukul like ordinary students there along with everyone else, and does Guru Seva. Ramchandra ji stayed in Vashishta with Vashishta Rishi and did his seva, and later on Bhagavan Sri Ram and Lakshmana, they stayed with Vishwamitra Rishi. They went along with him and they spent their entire time doing seva of Vishwamitra Rishi. Even his Pada Seva and serving him at every level. Even Bhagavan Krishna stayed with Sandipani Rishi and did his seva there. All the whatever seva was given and whatever he could understand, all the seva he did, remaining with his teacher. So that is also very important, because only when we do the seva we get tuned to our teacher, and when we get tuned we gain that knowledge. Therefore in the 4th chapter also Bhagavan had said कि तद विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया, that you gain this knowledge by doing namaskar to your teacher and doing seva and asking questions, and you can learn from your teacher. So Deva Dvija Guru, Guru Seva. Then Pradnya. Pradnya are those who are wise people. Those who have the knowledge of the Shastras, the wise people. Such, they may not be our Guru directly, but they are wise. So one should have deep reverence for such wise people also. See, when we worship wisdom, that wisdom also blesses us. We receive blessing from that wisdom. Because our Shastras, they have said that even wisdom is not a jada vastu. Wisdom is also Chetan only. Therefore we have the Devata of the wisdom as Shri Ganesh or Saraswati, of Lakshmi we have, of wealth, of our Shakti and all, Durga Mata. So they are alive, they are Chetan. So when we have that proper reverence, we get blessings from these devatas. So when we worship and revere the Prajna, a wise person, that is a tapas only. It purifies our antakarana. We become humble. It makes us gentle. It makes us also wise. It improves our interaction with the world. It improves our relationship. So there is great benefit of revering and worshipping such wise people. So Deva Dvija Guru Pradnya Pujanam. So doing the puja of Deva Dvija Guru Pradnya means seva with our body. Then Shaucham. Shaucham is cleanliness, to keep the body clean. So here, since it is Sharirik Tapas, we say that keep the body clean. But one should keep the mind also clean. The speech also should be kept clean. But when we keep the body clean, it is also a very great sadhana. In the Yoga Sutra, it is said that when we keep the body clean, we develop vairagya towards the body. It's very, very interesting. When we keep the body clean, we understand that the body, even if it is left, if it is neglected for some time, if we don't clean it, it becomes dirty. So it is basically very unclean, which has to be kept clean all the time. So one develops that vairagya towards the body by keeping it properly clean. So that is called shaucha. Not only keeping the body clean, but also we have to wear clean dress and keep our surrounding also clean. As it is said, cleanliness is next to godliness. So the shaucham is very important. And when we keep the body clean, we can detect uncleanliness very immediately. See, when the room is absolutely clean, then if some dust or something is there, we can detect it immediately. But if the whole place is already dirty, then additional dirt will not make much of a difference. Similarly, when we keep the body clean, little bit of dirt and little bit of impurity we will be able to detect, and our attention will be there all the time on keeping it clean. So when the body is kept clean, the thoughts, the speech, the actions, everything gets affected by this cleanliness. They also become more and more clean and pure. So shaucham is a very important tapas. Then arjavam. Arjavam means to be straightforward in our behavior, in our attitude, in our even in our speech, etc. One should be as clean, as straightforward as possible, like a child, simple, saral. In Ramayana also Bhagavan says, I like those who are saral, those who are straight, not crooked, not cruel, not false, not with some hypocrisy, but very straight, very clean. So that is also a sadhana, to be as saral as possible in our behavior, in our attitude, in our relationship. We should become as ruju, means straight, as possible. So saucham, arjavam. Then brahmacharyam. Brahmacharya is what you call to avoid overindulgence in sense pleasure. All pleasures with our senses, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, everything should be in whatever within our duty one can indulge, but to overindulge is breaking the vow of brahmacharya. So it not only includes celibacy, but it includes actually all overindulgence. Overindulgence is bad. So brahmacharyam is very important tapas. Too much of eating, too much of talking, too much of indulging in various other pleasures is breaking the vow of brahmacharya. So when we follow this brahmacharya strictly, we will develop vairagya. We will develop that shanti within. It is said in the second chapter also we have seen that when we withdraw our attention from the pleasures, then our mind also start becoming more and more peaceful. So brahmacharyam, okay. Then ahimsa. Ahimsa is non-violence. Not to hurt or harm any creature. Not to give pain, trouble to other creatures, other beings. With our body, also with our speech, our mind, not to harm other beings. That is ahimsa. Ahimsa is considered as param dharma also. Ahimsa paramo dharma. At all levels, we should avoid hurting and harming other creatures. Not only other human beings, but also animals, birds, plants, insects. Avoid hurting them as much as possible. That is ahimsa only. When we follow this strictly, our body becomes fit to walk on this spiritual path. Body gets tuned to that supreme reality through this sharirik tapas. Body becomes fit to walk this path. So Deva Dvija Guru Pradnya Pujanam Shauchamarjavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsa Cha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. These are all sharirik tapas. Okay. Now Bhagavan talks about Vachik tapas, Vangmayam tapa, at a level of our speech. So what is that? Let us chant. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayata swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva Vangmayam tapa uchyate. This Vangmayam tapa is a subtler tapas, wherein we observe certain rules about our speech. So what is that? Bhagavan says, ki anudvegakaram vakyam, to utter vakya. See, we use our speech to convey certain things to other people. As a communication instrument, we use it to convey. We talk to people, we give our speech, we express our emotions, we express our ideas. So we use our speech to a large extent. So here Bhagavan is giving certain conditions how we should use our speech, what should be the condition. He says your speech should be anudvegakaram, should not create any udvega, should not create any disturbance in the minds of people whom you are addressing. Anudvegakaram, that is one condition. Then satyam, that whatever you speak should be the truth, not a lie. Then priya, it should be pleasant. And hitam, it should be for the welfare of everyone. These four conditions. When one speaks, one should see that all these four conditions are taken care of. Shankaracharya ji writes, even if one misses one condition, that will not be the vachik tapas. One should follow all these four conditions should be fulfilled. So when we speak, though what we are speaking is true, but it should be spoken in such a way that it doesn't disturb the minds of people around us. Anudvegakaram, it should not create udvega. See, our speech is a very powerful equipment. We can touch the mind, the intellect of our listener. It's very powerful. See, I am sitting here far away from all of you, sitting alone. But I am expressing my whatever I have learned from my teachers, the wisdom, expressing through my speech, and it is reaching all of you. It is not only reaching your ears, but it reaches your antakarana. It reaches your mind. It reaches your buddhi. It reaches your chitta. It reaches your ahankar. And ultimately it reaches that pratyekatma, the kshetrajna, which is my own self. So it's the most powerful. Speech is the most powerful thing. More power is there in speech than in all the great weapons also. Speech can make or even mar a person. It can transform. Speech can liberate a person. It's one of the most powerful equipment, and it should be used as a seva. So I am sitting here far away from you, all of you, but this is my seva of all of you. seva of that Ishvara who is residing in your heart, seva through my speech. Sant Jnaneshwar Maharaj, he wrote a beautiful commentary on Bhagavad Gita called the Jnaneshwari, and in the end of this commentary he writes that this is my Vangmayi Seva, my seva of that Paramatma through my speech. So the speech should be such that it should not create agitations in the minds of people. It should soothe everyone. It should calm the nerves. It should make everyone feel very happy and safe. It should make everyone feel confident. It should make everyone feel great sense of peace. That is the power. Here Bhagavan Krishna, through his speech, he transformed Arjuna, who had become so depressed, who had become absolutely grief-stricken, hopeless. But through his speech, Bhagavan transformed Arjuna. He just got up and he said, Karishye vachanam tava, nashto moha smritil labdha, tvat prasadat mayachyuta. That by your grace, all my confusion has disappeared and I have regained my understanding and I will do as you say. So that is the power of speech. But should be used in a positive way, not with ulterior motives, not to harm someone, not to create enmity, but in order to help everyone around us. That is their seva. So, anudvegakaram vakyam, such vakya which doesn't create any udvega, any disturbance in anyone's mind. Then, satyam, that whatever we speak should be truthful. Very important. What we speak should be truthful. We should see, if we are doubtful, we should not utter it. We should see that what we are speaking is true. What we have understood, what we are convinced about, in which we have faith, those words we should utter. Otherwise, we can just keep quiet. Should not utter words which are false. Should not utter words which doesn't have any truth in them. See, sometimes we use falsehood in order to obtain some benefit. We lie to a person, or we say something bad, wrong, in order to project ourselves in some positive way, or in order to get some benefit from the person with whom we are talking, or out of fear. So one may tell a lie out of fear, out of some desire, out of pride, out of jealousy, out of anger. But all these things should be avoided. One should speak the truth. In Mundaka Upanishad, it is said, the path of the ultimate truth is also truth only. Satyena Pantha. Through the path of Satya, we can attain that supreme Satya. So, anudvegakaram vakyam satyam and priya. Whatever we speak, we can convey things pleasantly. Even if what we are conveying maybe little what you call unpleasant, but it can be conveyed pleasantly. We have to speak in such a way that our speech is pleasant. It's good to hear. That is also very important. And another very important factor is hitam, that whatever we speak should be for the welfare of others, should be welfare, should be good for those who are listening, should benefit them, should serve them in some way or other, should help them in various ways. We can with our words we can soothe people. In our family also, people, if they use proper words, they can create so much of joy, so much of strength, so much of inspiration and goodness in the whole family. If you don't have anything good to say, then it is better to just remain mauna only. But if you say good things pleasantly for the welfare of everyone, not harming anyone, not creating agitation, it's the most beautiful tapas. If this is followed sincerely, our antakarana will become pure. And we will be able to dive deeper in our meditation. Because in meditation also we have to speak. We have to speak to ourselves. We have to encourage ourselves. We have to tell the truth to ourselves pleasantly. Then only we can progress. So this is a very important tapas. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priya hitanchayata. Not following this creates disturbance in our family, in our relationship, in the society also. See, speech is not only nowadays what we speak, but what we express through our writing also. Because in this internet era, with all our social networking, you may not be actually uttering something, but may express what you want to say through your writing, which can create so much of disturbance if it is not proper in the hearts of people. People have opinion about everything, and many times they say such harsh thing which can hurt people very deeply. That should not be done. So anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priya hitanchayata. That is about the vakya. Then swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva. Then we can use our speech to do swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is to chant the mantras and the stotras and shlokas. Do some parayan. That is called swadhyaya. That is also vangmayam tapa, utilizing our speech as a sadhana positively by chanting. If you are the adhikari, if you have learned the Vedic mantras and all, those mantras can be chanted regularly. The Purusha Suktam, the Shri Suktam, so many mantras are there which can be regularly chanted. Or we can chant Vishnu Sahasranam or Bhagavad Gita, Parayan one can do, or other Ramayan Parayan we can do, or one can chant beautiful stotras and stutis which our great saints and sages have written. Shankaracharya ji has composed so many beautiful stotras. Those can be chanted every day. We should spend some time chanting these stotras loudly so that others can also hear and we can also hear. We can also hear. So all these things are there which are called that swadhyaya. So swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate. If our teacher has given the permission, then we can chant. Somebody has asked question, can we, a lady, chant Purusha Suktam? My teacher, Swami Chinmayananji Maharaj, he had given permission to ladies to chant, so they can also chant. If the teacher has given the Adesh, one can implicitly follow. So swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate. So this is called vangmaya tapa. Tapas at the level of our speech. Then comes tapas at the level of our mind. That is also very important. So what is it? It says, mana prasada somyatvam maunamatma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirittetat tapo manasamuchyate. These are called manasa tapas. Tapas at the level of our mind. What is it? Mana prasadaha, the prashanti of the mind, to keep the mind calm and peaceful. See, it is our mind and we can make it calm and peaceful. With some effort, we can make our mind calm and peaceful. See, when we are sitting somewhere and restlessly moving, somebody tells us, oh, please stay calm, sit properly. Little children and all, we say, why don't you sit properly? Don't move. Because that is the body of that person. Only he can control his body. Similarly, only I can control my mind. I can make my mind calm and peaceful. So with proper effort, we should make our mind calm and peaceful. That is called manaprasadaha. Saumyatvam, to keep the mind pleasant and happy. We'll just see the literal meaning and tomorrow we will see in more detail. So Saumyatvam is to keep the mind happy, so that gets expressed even on our face. Our face also becomes pleasant when our mind is pleasant. Then Mauna. Mauna is also, though Mauna is not to speak, observe that silence, but that can be observed only if our mind is under our control. So Maunam is also a manas tapas, tapas at the level of the mind. Then Atma Vinigraha, self-control, Bhava Samshuddhihi, to have a pure attitude. All this is called Manas Tapas. Tapo Manasam Uchyate. More about this we will see in our class tomorrow. This shloka, we will contemplate on this shloka some more tomorrow, and then also see the other shlokas. So till then you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy. Do your work, do your sadhana. And listen to this pravachan again and contemplate on the meanings and practice as much as you can. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram. Bole Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.